Hello there, welcome back to Motors TV and our live coverage here from Mallory Park. Well, it's official, the Beetles are back. The Fab Four are lining up just behind me for this tin top race. And would you believe these Beetles just look in absolutely mint condition. The College of North West London are responsible for some of the livery and for a bit of a rolling road to help these guys along. But they're looking forward to getting involved with the rest of the lineup here. We've got some Rovers, we've got a Sunbeam. It's going to be a great race, David.
That's right, Diana, and it's great to have these Volkswagen Beetles back racing. Many years ago, in the early to mid-1990s, the BRSCC ran a really successful championship for them. The cars came out of nowhere. They raced for 3 or 4 years, and then all disappeared. Well, they're back, and they reckon that by the end of the season, there'll be about 15 cars, 15 VW Beetles, which should be enough, I think, for a standalone grid. Well, this is the Cannon's Tin Top Challenge, another eclectic mix of saloon cars. I'm delighted to see an Alfa Romeo is on the grid, as well as Volkswagen Beetles and Jaguars, and it's a Rover 220 Turbo Coupe, the car of Anthony Harrison. There it is, that lines up on pole position. David Cox, the 61-year-old with the Peugeot 205, is alongside on the front of the grid. Darrell Radford's new Volkswagen Bora and Michael Cox on row 2. Luke Bennett, Danny Katzer, the reigning champion, on row 3. You've got Hondas, MGs, Ken Angel's Jaguar is in the mix as well. So once again, Barry Lee, there's just about something to cater for all taste on this grid.
Very much so, and I really want to look at Ken in the big old Jag. I thought he'd done a very good qualifying or race this morning, and basically I want to watch him very closely in this because I feel he's got a good position, a good way to be able to move up 2 or 3 places. I'm hoping. We'll
no doubt
kiss of death, I hope not.
Well, this is possible. We'll no doubt have a long look at Ken Angel's car, but just to quickly mention the fact it's an eBay special. He bought it off eBay, the former Bangor race. Now, Luke Bennett is the man with the onboard camera. He lines up on the inside of the 3rd row of the grid, the 1.8-litre Honda Integra, so he's going to be in the thick of the battle here as well. Cars turning their way up towards the hairpin, and very shortly we are going to be underway then for this first of 2 Cannon's Motor Spares Tin Top Challenge races. Paul Cannon, the man that runs the company, and a former rival of Barry Lee in hot rod racing.
Thank you very much.
Cars on their way out of the Devil's Elbow. We go racing in the Cannon's Tin Top Challenge then. The Union flag is waved. David Cox from the outside of the front row got the better start. He was a bit keen, I think, but Anthony Harrison then now in the Rover 220 Turbo Coupe slots in 2nd place. Michael Cox it is that runs 3rd. And then Darrell Radford's Bora goes through just ahead of Luke Bennett. They pour their way onto the stepping straight for the first time. Look at this, the 2 hot hatches side by side. Peugeot on the inside, Fiesta on the outside.
That's what motor racing's all about. Come on, let's get it into the S's. We're on board now with our driver. Let's see how he comes out of the S's. He's lying in 4th place at the moment. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, he's lying in 5th place. Hug that curb, my man. Remember, your brakes aren't hot, your tyres aren't hot yet, so brake nice and early for this hairpin.
And it's David Cox that leads the way then in the red Peugeot. Vastly experienced driver, saloon cars, legends, mini cross even. Here is Luke Bennett with the onboard camera trying to go around the outside of Darrell Radford's Bora, but if anything, he almost lost a place into the Devil's Elbow. End of lap number 1. So Peugeot leads the way. David Cox up front. Anthony Harrison is 2nd in the Rover. Then a bit of a gap back before side by side past the pits went Darrell Radford in the ex-Mark Smith Volkswagen Challenge spec Bora. He's up to 3rd. Down to 4th is Michael Cox. There, number 7, the camera car in this race. Luke Bennett in 5th place as they turn their way onto the steady straight once again. Well, David Cox trying to get away, isn't he, in that red Peugeot up front.
That little Peugeot's on fire, isn't it? It's fantastic. Really is motoring away from the Rover there.
Down they come towards the S's. David Cox, a man from Darlington near the Croft Circuit up in North Yorkshire, using all of his years of experience to good effect. And he's keeping at bay then. Anthony Harrison with the Rover. Anthony Harrison, somebody else. There are lots of them in this race meeting that have come from oval racing, former stock rod racer. And Darrell Radford then, who has been successful in a Vento in the past, now with this Bora, is getting a little bit closer to them. He could be the man to watch, couldn't he? Because he's just chipping away, Darrell Radford, at the 2 ahead of him. He's creeping up onto the tail of them.
And he's putting in some quick lap times as well. So here we go. Lap number 3 we're just going on to now. Into Gerrard's. Nicely through Gerrard's. Has our lead car now, number 5, which is Cox. Sorry, 15. Down the back straight.
Race leader then with an advantage at the start of this third lap of just 0.7 of a second. David Cox over Anthony Harrison in second place. The rest of the field come pouring through. Look, Fiesta, Honda Integra. You've got more Hondas, more hot hatches in the mix as well. The leading car then up towards the hairpin. But I reckon possibly now the Rover is getting a bit closer, isn't it? Anthony Harrison closing up now there. Former Bangor racer Ken Angel, in his Bangor racing days, he was known as the Eco Warrior. Don't ask. He's just ahead of the redoubtable Alfa Romeo 75 here, you can see, coming up towards the hairpin in the hands of Carl France. Well, Ken Angel, this car that he bought off eBay, actually finds it cheaper these days to do a season of circuit racing rather than a season of Bangor racing. It goes way out wide there.
Where was he going?
Well,
where?
He nearly got charged for getting back into the circuit there, didn't he? He was way out wide,
yeah, I think he was on his way to Leicester. Now anyway, that big old barge now lumbering its way round the left-hander there, back onto the main straight. Charging up with the Alfa right behind him, charging up into Gerrard's. Brakes on, the only one that does brake there to try and slow that 1.3 tonne down. Staying nice and close, running a little bit wide now. He will start showing off when he comes to the hairpin and hanging it out sideways because he's a good old oval boy, and we all tend to show off there. That's what the name of the game is. Win a race, but play to the crowd. They're the ones that pays your money.
Poor old Ken always seemed to be on the receiving end, the very large follow-ins in his Bangor racing days, but he now, as I say, has changed the circuit racing, slithers his way through the S's. This car, 500 quid it cost him on eBay, and it's a very rapid race car indeed, and you can get a whole season out of this. In Bangor racing, you've got to build a fresh car each week. The leader has stopped. The leader, David Cox, has stopped there, going past the pit. The race leader has ground to a halt. Disaster.
It is disaster for him, but I think he jumped the start, so he could have possibly got, like Rod Burley did in the last race, a 10-second penalty. I'm hoping if he hadn't got that penalty, they would have showed it to him. He could have got his foot down and perhaps won the race by more than 10 seconds. Who knows? It's immaterial now because he's out of the race.
Indeed so. Now, this is the new race leader. I was going to ask you about this. Should I get concerned about this smoke? That was a lock-up, I think.
He's blown it up, I think. He's on 3 cylinders.
It wasn't just a lock-up, certainly there has been smoke. There's a rather smoky Beetle as well.
Yes.
That's definitely smoking, isn't it, going past the pits there.
We're going to suffer with more fallout dust now after this race, and they're going to blame us and not Iceland, you bet.
Well, the other drama is whether the track's getting slippery. If all these people are pumping out smoke, and there might be some liquid dropping on the road as well, Mallory's going to get very treacherous, isn't it? The leader tiptoes his way around Gerrard's. He
was smoking, but I think that was more brake lock-up. So that was tyre smoke rather than engine or transmission smoke.
But interestingly, the leader is being caught there, Anthony Harrison, by Darrell Radford in the newer Volkswagen behind. So that gap, 1.6 seconds at the start of this lap, is coming down. The former stock runner, another of your good old boys from Oval Racing, leads the way.
Harrison, yeah, but don't forget Radford pushes the car very, very quickly, so he's not out of the question. Once again, he's got a lot of front brake on that car. He locked up again.
Now, in the meantime, for third and fourth places, you've got Michael Cox, third, locking up and almost going into the Beetle. He's left the door wide open for Luke Bennett, who says, thank you very much. I'll have third place. How kind of you.
This man, he's got to be an ex-old Bill car. He's shuffling the steering wheel 10 to 2 and left to right, left to right. What is he on?
Now, this Beetle has done another lap with all the smoke coming out of the back of it. In 96 it is, the car of Philip Thompson, the graphic designer. I'm afraid, really, he ought to have pulled over by now because he's not doing anybody any favours.
But they've just started to come back racing. He won't be able to see any flags or anything else because he's not looking. He's just absolutely petrified. He's holding that steering wheel and just looking dead ahead. He's not interested in flags, putting oil down or anything else. Here we go with our man on board there. We just had a quick flash of him again. But just watch when he goes into the corner. It's a push-pull, push-pull. I think he should be on Z cars or something.
He's in third place at the moment, is Luke Bennett. Now, the lap times have been going up. We've got, in fact, a mechanical warning flag, a meatball flag being shown for Philip Thompson. And I think we have got quite a bit of oil put down, partly by that Beetle. We've seen one or two other smoky cars as well. And you get the feeling, Barry, now that the circuit's a bit more slippery and hence people are going slower.
Yes, very much so, because they're all going slower, not just one or two cars. So there is some oil down there. But it's funny, you know, we see this, but there's marshals on every corner. So why haven't they seen it and put the oil flag out sooner?
Flapping bonnet there, look, on 46, which is Michael Cox. Very rapid Ford Fiesta XR2 that's there in fourth place, and then fifth behind him, another good little battle with the two of them. There they are, look, nose to tail, making their way on now to the Stevie Straight. Andrew Mitchell just ahead at the moment. Gary Chappell, the man with his own Coachworks business, right there behind him. The man from Ruton, near Brands Hatch. on the tail of the
He's not a
205.
company director like the other piece you could talk and do. If you're a company director, do you drive quicker or what?
I worked for the earlier race.
Oh, number 5 going down the main straight now, smoking like anything. Now that is ready to blow up.
I'm afraid to say the car in question is an Alfa Romeo. It pains me to say this. There it is, I'm afraid. Now, what you have to remember, Barry, is that's not a problem. What he's doing is just parking so people can admire the lovely Italian lines of this Alfa Romeo 75. There's no concern whatsoever about that. Selflessly, Carl France has given up his race for people to admire the car.
Yes, look, there's some more smokers here. I tell you, this is going to be a race very, very slippery soon. So basically, why hasn't it? That is definite oil and water smoke coming out of there.
And there's the meatball flag to say you've got a mechanical problem. You should be in the pit lane, and Philip Thompson has ignored it once. He does need to be in the pit lane now.
He can't look at the flags. He's too scared. I've told you about this. They've just come back into racing. You try and race a Beetle.
Fair
you
point.
just hang on for dear life. Look, he hasn't even noticed it again.
This race is going to come with a health warning soon. There's that much smoke. So he goes past the stricken car of David Cox that did lead early on. Now, Anthony Harrison is being caught for his race lead by Darrell Radford. There was Radford going through the Devil's Elbow. Oh. Here they come over the line. Traffic ahead of them. 11/10 it was as it stayed as a fall. No, it's in fact doubled on that lap. Bizarrely, Darrell Radford has had a really bad lap. And so now, with a minute and a half just over remaining, Anthony Harrison on his own up front once again.
Good old oval boy. Go on, my son.
Onto the back straight, the steady straight he goes now, down towards the S's once again, the Rover 220 Turbo Coupe, a car that in the mid-90s had its own one-make championship, and that's where these cars have come from. This a little bit different, it's got that rear wing on the back now, and the modification slightly different to put it into a competitive trim for this Cannon's TinTop Challenge. He's about to try and find a way past Ken Angel as well there. Look in the big Jag coming up towards
Two oval
the
boys. Now you watch Ken sling the back out, play to the crowd. Oh, we've come away from it. It's okay. He's gone to Leicester again.
Yes, that's right.
His backing shot. There he is.
The sat-nav has diverted him back towards Mallory, so Ken Angel goes the lap down, leading his class, by the way, in the eBay special, the £500 Ford Jaguar. Over the line goes the leader onto his last lap Possum. It's going to be close, this, in fact, looking at the clock. He might get another lap out of it. We
keep saying the Jag there, Ainsley, it's the £500 eBay special, but isn't it great? For £500, you can have all this fun.
Yes, exactly right.
You know, who's the fool?
And he can get a whole season of racing out of this. He said to me a couple of years ago, I don't have to do anything to it between races. We just park it on the drive at home. Now look at this as well, because you've got two cars nose to tail. 95 just at the head of this little battle is Andrew Mitchell, and right on his tail, number 20, Gary Chappell with the Toyota Celica. They are nose to tail, and Michael Cox XR2 is just ahead of them. So 4th and 5th and 6th have got themselves together, nose to tail, down the steady straight once again. The other question mark is whether the leader can wring one more lap out of this, because there are now 10 seconds on the clock. There may just be one more. So the race leader is about to go across the line. The last lap board is being prepared. There he is. Over the line goes Harrison. Well, that was touch and go, but he's got one more lap out of it, that's for sure. So I think he went across the timing line on about 1 second through Gerrard's. Been a good drive this by the Rover of Anthony Harrison, helped of course in part by David Cox having his problem that stopped him by the side of the road, and since then he's not only been able to take over the race lead, he's also been able to build it, because now he's 3 seconds to the good over Darrell Radford. Last lap for him as he comes down now towards the S's. So it may not be the youngest car on the grid, but it's a quick one, despite our concerns about the smoke earlier. He's starting to smoke out of the exhaust now, so basically good old Rover, it will get to the end. That I believe is exhaust smoke, not tyre smoke, as I thought earlier on. Oh, what's that? Ends there. Did you hear that little rattle? Well, he's only got a corner to go. It's all held together for him. So Anthony Harrison, the man from Worthing, comes now through the Devil's Elbow. There's the checkered flag for him. It's a race win in the first Cannon's TinTop Challenge for the Rover 220 Turbo Coupe of Anthony Harrison. Darrell Radford, 3 seconds adrift at the end. Not bad. Now this is going to resolve 4th place. Is it going to go the way of Fiesta? Just because Michael Cox comes now out of the Devil's Elbow. He's going to finish in 4th place. 5th, right on his tail though, is Mitchell. And then to complete the top 6, after a very spirited drive, that's for sure, is Gary Chappell. Well, Anthony Harrison may have inherited the race lead, but he didn't put a wheel wrong after that. And so another eclectic mix of cars takes to Mallory Park and is won by Anthony Harrison. The Rover comes out on top then, and you can rest assured that the likes of Darrell Radford and David Cox, car allowing, are going to be very, very keen to have a go back at him in race 2. Let's have a look then at the way that the top 6 came across the line. And just look at the variety as well. Rover, Volkswagen, Honda, Ford, Peugeot, Toyota in the top 6. Anthony Harrison, the race winner from Darrell Radford and Luke Bennett. Michael Cox, 4th in the XR2 that made a very good start ahead of Andrew Mitchell. And then Gary Chappell rounds out the top 6 in the Cannon's Motorspares TinTop Challenge here live at Mallory Park. Well, we'll have the race winner making his way down the pit lane in a moment. Anthony Harrison victorious in our first Cannons TinTop Challenge race of the day. So the Rover comes out on top. Anthony Harrison the winner by 3.3 seconds at the end of our first Cannons TinTop Challenge race. And as I say, that car may not exactly be the youngest on the grid, but it's a well-driven car, well sorted, despite the fears that we had about the smoke. And in a moment or two, we'll get Anthony Harrison taking his time about all of this, get the crash helmet off, deep breath, opens the door, and it's not the work of a moment, is it, being a race winner and getting out of the car for an interview? He, in a moment, will wriggle out. The reason for the delay, in fact, is there's a course car just going past him at once. It's safe to open the door. There he goes. We'll get our race winner, Anthony Harrison. And Diana, it's all yours in the pit lane.
I think he's pleased about
Anthony,
that.
many congratulations. Clearly delighted.
Absolutely, yeah, it's a good race. I saw my main competitor fall to the wayside, and I knew that was my chance then to go for it.
What were conditions like? Because someone dropped some oil on the circuit.
It was a bit slippery. A couple of the laps were slippery. It went away, and then there's someone else that dropped some oil. But it wasn't too bad for me.
So there's always plenty to look out for.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So what does that win mean?
It means a lot to all the Rover Coupe, all the blokes on the Rover Coupe Owners Club. That's for you boys.
Well done.
Cheers.
Well, that's a third win of the year for Anthony Harrison. A third win of the year for Anthony Harrison, and he does so in style here at Mallory Park. You can see a very busy paddock here with drivers busily working on their cars for the second race. Of course, it's a meeting where everybody, cars permitting, gets 2 races, and we're going to be into the second round of races very shortly. So don't go far. We'll be back live at Mallory Park after the break. Welcome back to Mallory Park for our MotorsTV live race day. And we've got one more race to come on what's been a superb afternoon of racing, and another mixed bag of saloon cars are about to take to the circuit, and this is going to be for our second race for the Cannons Motorspares TinTop Challenge. Barry Lee rejoins me. We're looking down